And welcome back. People flock to see a wizard, a pair of magicians, and an emergency operator this weekend.
They said this was a magician's bar.
Mr. Gray, what you do is not magic.
Steve Carell and Jim Carrey played dueling magicians in the incredible Burt Wonderstone. It pulled $10 million out of the hat at the box office, good for third place.
911, where's your emergency?
I'm in the trunk. I've been kidnapped.
There's no location. It's a disposable, no chip.
The Halle Berry thriller The Call scared up just over $17 million in second place.
I might not actually be a wizard.
Yes, but they don't know that.
And Oz the Great and Powerful was rolling in the green this St. Patrick's Day weekend. The wizard worked his magic to stay #1, pulling in another $42 million for a 2-week worldwide take of almost $282 million. Jason Gorber is a film critic for twitchfilm.com and works Magic Weekly here on this. Okay, so Burt Wonderstone, thumbs up, thumbs down, how's it going?
Again, I don't know if we have a middle thumb. It's sort of working at that. I mean, it's a film that has some incredibly great ingredients that don't quite gel into like a beautiful magical dish, or I don't know, there's some metaphor there somewhere. Point of the matter is that you have Steve Carell, again, trying to be the lead in a film and not quite getting it. He's got some great supporting characters playing along with him. You mentioned Jim Carrey, who is basically playing a Chris Angel type, big bombastic, modern, hurt himself Vegas kind of magician. You have Steve Buscemi as the magician sidekick, who's so great and so wonderful in that kind of quirky sideways character. He's a lot of fun. And Alan Arkin shows up again. The way that people have been using Alan Arkin over the last couple of years has been great. He just shows up, does 10 minutes, and steals the movie. It does well enough to try to show the sort of ludicrousness of the big over-the-top Las Vegas magician world, but it's just not funny enough and not a sort of a core enough story to actually hold itself together. I wanted to like it much more than I ended up doing so, and so I give it sort of a C+, B-. Not a complete failure, but such a surprise that a lot of people didn't flock to see it.
I'm going to wave the magic pen, and we're going to take a look at a clip.
Great.
You kids want to see some real magic?
Yeah.
Steve, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be performing today.
Just giving the people what they want.
Hey, guys. Check this out. You know, if you're like me, my inner child is hungry and crying out for something more nourishing. What have you got on the grill? You see that? You see what I'm doing there? Look at it. Look at it! Now look at this!
Okay, that cast that you just outlined, I mean, you'd think that you'd get all those actors in one movie and it would just be magic, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, you would think, and yet it fundamentally comes down to the script. Again, Steve Carell's playing a very unlikable character, and the switch between him being an unlikable character and inevitably becoming somebody you have to fall for after his fall from grace and inevitable rise, it's just done so inelegantly that you're just like, oh, come on, you've seen it 1,000 times before. Plus, Las Vegas is I love Las Vegas. It's such a beautiful, wonderful, insane place, and there's so much opportunity in a film like this to truly make it look as ridiculous as it really is, and they're a little bit tame with it, believe it or not. So I think that they're just trying to check the boxes off and doesn't really coalesce and do a film that really hits a home run.
And this is not the first movie, obviously, to tackle the world of magic. What are some of the past successes or past notables?
Well, I mean, obviously there's another, the Wizard of Oz whole shtick is going on. There's the other magician that's stealing it at the box office. But I go back to 2006 where there's two really interesting, you know, Hollywood does things in pairs. There's two really interesting films that were trying to beat each other up at the box office, The Prestige and The Illusionist. Prestige, Christopher Nolan, basically got Batman, Alfred, Black Widow, and Wolverine together in a movie.
Not bad.
So a bunch of all these very big, epic superhero kind of characters, character actors who really nailed it in this dark film. David Bowie as Nikola Tesla. It was great, but just again didn't quite connect it together. In that film, you have Ricky Jay, who's this wonderful magician, very, very gregarious. He also was a magic consultant in another film that came out that year, The Illusionist, which was much darker. Ed Norton was in it. Much darker, much more somber. So the two films, 2006 was definitely the year of the dark magician movie, and it was a lot of fun. Both of them, interestingly, went up for Best Cinematography at the Oscars and lost to a film that was truly magical and had no magicians in it. That was Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro. Again, if you're looking for other straightforward, looking at the sort of weird nature of magic and in a little bit more sophisticated film, those are two films definitely to check out.
Okay, getting back to Burt Wonderstone, Jim Carrey, Canadian, he's in it. How's his career going? Does this mark a return to what he usually does or not?
I'm a big fan of when you use a little bit of Jim Carrey, and rightly or wrongly, that's sort of what Steve Carell has tended to do in the past. So when Jim Carrey shows up in this film, he's got the part that's really juicy and meaty. He gets all the big laughs because he's used sparingly. When it's in a feature-length film, I tend to get a little bit tired of him. That being said, one film that's coming up, this superhero movie that I would love you to say the title of. I've been cautioned against it. Regardless, Kick Tuchus? What are we allowed to say on air? Anyway, the point of the matter is...
Kick magic.
There we are, yeah. So the posterior that is kicked is, and it's on your screen right now, he's going to be playing a secondary character who's no doubt going to be big and broad and a lot of fun. The first iteration of that particular film is a heck of a lot of fun. Chloe Moretz in particular as Hit Girl is phenomenal. And so this is definitely one of those genre films that I'm really looking forward to seeing the second installment of.
That's what he's going to be doing. Where has he been? What's he been up to?
He's done a bunch of children's movies. The last big thing I guess he did theatrically, if memory serves, is the Philip Morris, I Love You, Philip Morris, where he plays the lover of Ewan McGregor. He's a guy who gets, he's a con man who Ewan McGregor falls in love with, and they sort of make all kinds of weird deals to make their lives better in jail. It's a film nobody saw. It's good, it's decent, but again, Jim Carrey has had quite a remarkable career. He's done a bunch of indie arty films, and he's done a bunch of stuff like big broad comedies. Then you have things in between like Cable Guy, which is a little bit dark and a little bit arty.
I'm sure that Jim Carrey fans are just happy to have him back. Jason, we're happy to have you back. Thanks very much.
All the best. Take care, Scott.
All right, as we head to break, another look at Jim Carrey's return to big box office comedy.
They said this was a magician's bar. What are you doing in here?
Mr. Gray, what you do is not magic. It is monkey porn.